Hi everybody, it's Scott with Believers Underground. Now this is a volcano that just blurped. I mean, this volcano, last time it went up in 1914, they made a movie about it called Wrath of the Gods. Very trippy movie from way back when. It's on YouTube. I'll see if I can put the link, throw it in. But anyway, last time this thing went off, there's a caldera there. This is big stress. This is this blurb is nothing. Last time this thing went off, I mean, it added 5 miles of peninsula. It connected up with another island. I mean, it was amazing. But, as you're watching this static discharge coming from the rock, now this came 3 days later after the 9.0 that lasted for 5 minutes. Okay, now what was interesting about this video was, this is the clearest evidence of this new science I've been trying to get to you, and I mean, there's only 2 papers published back in the 60s on this anomaly, and those dudes are pretty much dead. I can't interview any of them. But this is a static discharge from the rock. That's what it is. This little blurt coming up from this volcano that is a mega volcano. That's nothing. It's nothing, okay? There's so much stress on this rock. Now this volcano is on the lower part, okay? That earthquake happened up here. This volcano is down here. This is the Filipino fault, okay? One impacts the other. Now the last time this volcano went up, in 1914, the next year it impacted Italy. So history has a way of repeating itself. And since we're dealing with new dynamics of where we're at in space, now that they're using Gorski's scientific analogy, which was correct, and they were using bad science before, and nobody has any, I can't talk to any other experts on this event because there are none. I'm it. Also with the nuclear fallout. But this is a great illustration of this, okay? There's going to be another mega earthquake over there in Japan, and it's going to be down there on the lower fault. It's going to be on the Filipino fault, which can impact Japan. So I hope they get in there with their new protocols, with their nuclear stuff. So, man, give the world a chance. Now, those reactors are throwing off 5,000 degree heat. I mean, straight up into the atmosphere, man. It's just tearing through. It's like a nuclear bomb that just keeps going and going and going as far as the heat factor, okay, which impacts your ozone. You also got the X-ray factor that impacts the ozone, and that's another science that you haven't heard. You've heard CO2 gas, particulates, all that garbage and nonsense. Well, you got 3 layers of nuclear fallout in the ice cores. Now 4. Now you're going to have 5 because you had the Chernobyl fire, or the fire in the Chernobyl range. Now, Rock's phone had some interesting stuff on the Chernobyl thing, and I'll talk about that more outside. I've been staying indoors. I lost like 7 pounds this week, so I'm still very weak. I went out and purchased a screen filter so it doesn't hurt my eyes so much, and some computer glass instead of reading glasses. But it just gets brighter and brighter. It had 59 outbursts. But what was interesting, this thing lasted for 3 hours. I have never seen a static discharge from the rock more than, maybe 10 seconds, So this is mega stuff, and this is after the quake, okay? So it's not over there in Japan. And this is on the lower section, so this is mega pressure and weight on the Filipino fault. It's not good news for Japan. They're not out of the woods, and I hope they get their safety protocols, and I hope they get those 2 big old tanker truck things over there to start cooling off those reactors. And it's mind blowing, but man, 3 hours. This static discharge was being released. And like I said, this volcano is nothing, man. This sucker's a big volcano. If it wants to go, man, it'll just demolish that island. That's just blowing off steam. That's all that is. But having it happen simultaneously was a trip scene. I was like, wow. I was blown away by it. But this is a static discharge from the rock. This is as simple as it gets. and you see the outbursts. Okay, so you're getting outbursts, and and this thing's lasting a long time. So this is mega stress. This is monster mega stress on those things. You got all this water melting, and it's from the nuclear fallout. You got a heavy metal dome in your ice pack. You've had the ozone zapped with these X-rays from all these nuclear testing that they ban now, and all these power plants that have had their meltdowns, like Chernobyl and the one in Simi Valley back in the 50s. And look at there 1 second, they're gone. It's gone. Anyway, this is a book called What to Do About Nuclear Fallout. This stuff has gone all over the globe, man, many a times. Laying down here, I'm not going outside. Forget it. The thing is it's like Chernobyl. It wiped out 125,000 square acres. All right, with this Japan fallout. These reactors were 4 times more powerful, and they were using MOX and plutonium in them. So they were 100 times more strong. So 4 times more toxic, 100 times more powerful. So getting these guys under control is a big thing. You got your Russian ship going in there. They got to find those fuel rods that were blown out into the ocean because they're still causing fusion. Salt water and fresh water act differently. They freeze at different temperatures. There's a different dynamic, and it's causing chlorine 38. Nevertheless, after one of these events, it's best to stay inside. Don't try to run away and flee and stuff. It just exposes you to more radiation. Staying indoors, taping stuff and everything else until, because you're going to have car crashes, chaotic stuff, traffic jams. A lot better off just staying indoors. But getting back to the square footage, and that came from Roxaphone. Your Japan's 149,000 square miles. So, and you got 4 reactors, and they were even stronger. A lot of that stuff went into the ocean. Now, this stuff will disperse. It will go clear around the planet, and yeah, it will go into the food chain again. This is done before. This is nothing new, man. They've been doing this for decades. It's been in the cows. What it does is these nuclear things come off like they mimic calcium. So these radioactive isotope stuff, and it gets into the grass, gets into the water and stuff, but it's not on lethal levels or nothing. You'll survive it. You'll get through it. Don't trip and you won't fall. But the safety protocols that they need to implement and start phasing these things out is very important. We can't afford more events. It's the ozone we have to be careful with, because it's the ice melting that's our problem. Okay, it's not CO2, moron gas. It's not global warming. It's none of that stuff. It's adjustment and readjustment of the planet with the conditions it's got. Okay, and since we're going through a very stressful place in the planet through the solar system, it's even causing more pressure and weight on the oceans, on top of all these trillions and hundreds and trillions of tons of water. It's weight. We're dealing with weight, okay? It's not sea level rise, or you'd have every coast, around the planet rising, not just islands, okay? But the coast aren't. The islands are. So they're sinking. They're under major pressure and weight, okay? They're in major geo unstable zones, and then you have those connection zones where the oceans are gonna try to connect themselves. Like you had that 6.5 earthquake down in the lower Mexico area the other day. I can't remember offhand what area it was, but that area it's trying to open up a pathway like a Panama Canal. So that area is in big danger. Through erosion, through major storm activity, volcanic activity, tectonic activity. This is just common sense stuff. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that right now. One question I wanted to present out there to all the scientists and stuff. This last ice age, okay, where you have the woolly mammoths, 14,000 years ago, still frozen in spot with buttercups in their mouth. Okay. Now these glaciers, as they grind across, the continents, it grinded any kind of life to powder. There was nothing left. What was left, froze on contact. It was unsurvivable for everything. Nothing could have survived. So this is the question, okay? 14,000 years ago, man, there was no life here, man. It was done. Nothing could have survived this thing, and it doesn't matter how many millions of years they try to, blow smoke up with you on that. But the bottom line, nothing would have survived. Okay, the weather would, and the electrical storms, and nothing would have survived. So you had nothing living on the planet at that point. So where did man come from? He couldn't evolve in, do what 10 million years of evolution in a 3 year, what 3, 4, 6,000 year period. It's impossible. Okay. So this science proves the evidence of God. Okay, was there a first Earth age? Sure, man. The Earth's been destroyed and redestroyed continuously for billions of years. And the Bible proves that out. This last ice age, God destroyed it. It's in Jeremiah chapter 4. There was nothing left, man. Nothing. Science confirms it. Common sense confirms this. This confirms the evidence of God. And yeah, you're going to find evidence of people from back before this ice age, because there were people. God knew you from this last one. He knew could cut it in this one. But I just love you guys, man, and there's something to think about, chew on. Information is shock resistance, and that too is new science. I deal with what I see obviously and scripturally, and there's nobody in this field, so there's no one I can really talk to or discuss with. If there are some people in this field that are studying behind the scenes, please get in contact with me. I'd love to share my input. Everybody's in trouble on this one. Okay, and that nuclear reactor was definitely an extinction level event for that area. That area is done. And the fish, plutonium isn't going to go flying to it. It's a heavier metal. It's going to be more like mercury in the food chain on the ocean. That stuff's going to be in the ocean. It's going to go into the fish. So here we go again. It's going to hurt the food supply. Now there is a program I found out about. They're issuing $50,000 checks for if you what's it called? Try to attempt to farm, I guess it is. So that might be a way for you to go into a different area and start farming. And the government will give you a 50 grand check. It's part of their CO2 gas moron con, on the stock market that they threw on over the counter derivatives. So this is why those monies are there. So you might as well just go ahead and take the check and move and start growing stuff. So you could be more helpful for those that are going through the climate problems over these next years. Anyhow, I just love you guys. Have a good one. Anyway, this is the book that is on what to do with nuclear waste, and it talks about the fallout getting into the grass, which is passed on to the cows, and this has happened time and time and time again, man. So don't trip. It ain't good. Thanks to my friends in Pittsburgh, New Jersey. My bro said $3, man. I'd make you get a maximum bang for your buck, man. Everything goes to something. I looked at these massive bank bailouts that they're doing on Capitol Hill, especially with this tidal wave insurance, and they got 5,500,000 houses, and they got the 2030 report, man. It's you see a guy with a cup, getting a couple of pennies from people, man, and you got these bankers they're sponging big time, man, and they don't even go out with their cup, man. They just send their lobbyists into Washington, into the Capitol Hill, man, and just to sponge for them, man. I mean, you're talking trillions of bucks, man. This is a big old con, man. oh, whatever, you know, they're cutting from domestic spending, which is the worst. And all these, you know, for rich muckety ducks, man, you ain't part of their crowd, and you know, it's the haves and have-nots stuff, man. It's a bunch of nonsense. You know, but you gotta play the cards you're dealt, so don't trip, you won't fall. Like I said, I do have a Geiger counter inbound. I purchased one, and it's being sent. I got a gas mask, you know, for any local event, you know. Uh, but I'll do some testing, do a video on it, hopefully later on this week. And I love you guys, man. Have a good one.